The Justice League has been around since way back in March of 1960, and over the 64-ish years since, the organization has had many superheroes, and even villains who join the exclusive club. So today, we're going to talk about 10 who you might not know about. Now originally I was going to choose Animal Man to start off today's list, but then I remembered he got an absolutely amazing solo run. So even if he's not super popular, that did give him some recognition, but on the other hand, Marie McCobb, who is the superhero known as Vixen, hasn't really gotten her moment to truly shine yet. This fashion icon, talk show host, and animal activist is able to channel the powers of any animal that has walked or evolved on Earth, similar to Animal Man. But she does it through the mystical object given to her ancestor by the god Anansi called the Tantu Totem. Originally it was shown that the Tantu Totem gave her her abilities, but over time it has been changed so that the totem more just helps hone said abilities. Basically, Vixen has a strong connection to the Red, which is a magical thingy that connects all animal life in DC. Normally, she uses this power for flight and to enhance her speed, strength, senses, and healing abilities. She also sometimes uses the poisonous abilities of certain animals and has even been able to fully transform into animals. Vixen's ability is so incredibly vast that she can use the light of an anglerfish to create a powerful laser, the armor of armored beetles to withstand a punch from Superman, and she could even create a force field using just the energy from the Red itself. Absolutely impressive. One of the wilder concepts of DC's original multiverse was the real world, which was, or used to be just another universe, named Earth Prime. The Flash discovered this in Flash number 179. When he stumbled onto Earth Prime and turned to the employees of DC as the only ones who'd believe his story. Julius Schwartz helped him return home, but the machine Flash used to get here stayed at the DC offices. Several years later, DC writers Carrie Bates and Elliot Magan discovered the machine still had enough power left to send Magan to Earth 1, the GLA world, and Bates to Earth 2, the JSA's home. The Criminal Injustice Society took advantage of this by turning Bates into a supervillain, and combining his new powers with his plotting ability, Bates single-handedly took down the Justice Society, then went after the JLA. He did well until Magan shattered his confidence with a few well-placed insults about Bates' writing. The JLA won, the JSA got better, and the duo, now depowered, returned home. I think a writer would have a huge home field advantage against the heroes, so that feels a little unfair, but hey, make of that what you will. Lucas Snapper Carr is quite possibly the most annoying team mascot I've ever seen. Appearing for the first time when the league faced off against Staro, Snapper Carr is characterized by what DC Comics thought would help their comics relate to the youth. Emphasis on thought here. He has a quote-unquote youthful exuberance, incessantly snapping his fingers at everything, and has a tendency to inject really grown-worthy humor into serious situations. Sure, his intentions are usually good-natured, but Snapper Carr has earned a reputation among fans as extremely annoying due to his penchant for making seemingly out-of-place jokes and remarks, even in moments of high tension. His incessant snapping and habit of addressing his peers with nicknames, and like really out-of-touch ones like dceu, can come across as overly casual or inappropriate, undermining the gravity of certain situations. His presence does provide moments of comedic relief, and he remains a distinctive figure in the DC universe, but like only because we all roll our eyes when we see him. For better or for worse. Look pal, if somebody who uses words like cripes and euchred on a regular basis is calling you out of date, then you are. Now I'm not actually too sure if you folks will or won't know Andrew Bennett, aka I Vampire. I think more invested comic book readers likely do know this vampire, but maybe a casual reader or fan of DC might not. Look, as a big vampire fan, obviously this one was in the back of my mind today. Vampires are practically indestructible and can regenerate any damage done by consuming blood. They have superhuman strength, speed, reflexes, stamina, can transform into bats, wolves, rats, and mist, and have enhanced senses and a bit of psychokinesis. Despite that, they do have some major weaknesses that pretty much everybody's aware of, with the big one being the sun, unless they can find a way to temporarily make themselves immune. But for I Vampire, he has a peculiar ability to eventually automatically revive himself even after he's killed, even if he becomes a pile of ashes from the sun. This guy survived to the end of the universe. This ability is a bit of a mystery even to Bennett himself. Like when he survived to the end of the universe, it was at the will of the Presence, aka God, leading some to believe that this may be true in all cases, but it's not actually confirmed. In my opinion, he's pretty cool. I love a good vampire moment. Raymond Terrell was apparently born with a condition that didn't allow him any exposure to sunlight, or at least that's what he'd been told. Turns out, Ray was lied to his entire life. In reality, Ray's real father was Happy Terrell, a World War II hero known as the Ray. So turns out Raymond was actually born with the tremendous superpowers that only awaken with light exposure. So upon discovering this power, he went invisible for about 4 years, before saving a friend, turning the assailant invisible, and then restoring them to scare the bejesus out of him. Ray is a being of light and has many abilities as a result. For example, once his body absorbs natural light, as sunlight or artificial light, he can direct the energy to rearrange molecules into any form, matter, or energy. With the projected energy, he can fly, project rays, beams, and bolts of destructive light, and create constructs out of pure light, similar to a Green Lantern's construct. Obviously, he can bend light to make himself or others invisible, but he can also do a similar thing in order to create illusions, and after consuming light energy, he can actually sustain himself off of it. not needing to eat or drink, which is pretty neat for survival purposes. Alright, I'm about to talk about a character who has a lot to do with Aztec mythology, so odds are I will 110% mess up some pronunciations here. Forgive me, folks. Uno, the man who would become Aztec, was trained from birth by the mysterious Q Society, a secret organization dedicated to providing a champion for Quetzalcoatl. His mission is to prepare for the eventual second coming of the dark god Tezcatlipoca. To help with that, Aztec's power comes from the Mask of Warriors, which has been handed down from warrior to warrior over the generations, with their consciousness becoming one with the mask, meaning Aztec can call upon the experience of his predecessors in any situation. Pretty neat. The helmet bestows its wearer with a variety of abilities, including enhanced audio and visual systems like X-ray and infrared vision. It protects the wearer, increasing physical strength, and will even transfer full motor control over to the helmet if the wearer becomes unconscious. The armor can camouflage itself, turning it invisible or reducing the wearer's molecular density. The gauntlets contain energy blasters located in the palms, and launchers hidden in the wrists that can shoot wire nets, cables, or mini rockets. Kinda like Iron Man, the armor's chest piece acts as a power battery for the suit, and also allows the venting of highly destructive energy that can destroy a city block. You know, just casually. The suit also allows him to fly and allows Aztec to travel through space. It also just looks super cool. When the original Justice League was teleported thousands of years into the past and a new league was formed, Faith was one of those premier members. Only she was more like the member. See, the problem with Faith was that she solved pretty much any problem. She would almost always show up with some new power that was exactly what the League needed at any time. When she was part of a Black Ops team before the Justice League, she was literally nicknamed the Fat Lady. No, she's not fat, like it's not because of her physique. It was a reference to the saying, "It ain't over till the fat lady sings," because literally whenever she showed up, the fight was over. So then what was the point of having a team at all? Fans kind of found her boring, since she was basically just a plot device and a waste of a powerful character, which, what a shame. Maxima. You had the potential. You see, Maxima had a power set that put her on par with the likes of Superman. She was also an alien from the planet Almerac. But the problem with Maxima doesn't come from her powers, nothing like that. No, the problem with Maxima is that her planet's population is dwindling, and her #1 goal is finding a man to do the repopulating with. Originally she was like, Superman, that's my perfect mate. So she goes after him, only to be turned down, leading her to join a Superman revenge-based team, and then join the Justice League to try and seduce him. To the shock and surprise of nobody, it didn't work. So then she turned her sights to Captain Atom, and then Amazing Man, and then she bit the dust thanks to Brainiac. She could have been someone, she could have been a contender, but the poor thing was more concerned with finding the perfect mate. Everybody loves a comeback story. When Mystique, a Korean-American woman named Song Barclay, first came onto the scene, she was a pretty low-tiered villain. She wore the armor of her late father, which gave her a masculine-looking physique while in the suit, and she had energy-projecting abilities. Eventually, Martian Manhunter recruited Mystique for his Justice League task force, which, you know, how can you say no to that? Oh, you know, maybe if you suffer from claustrophobia. And for this gal, that's when things get a little problematic. When the Justice League task force had to go into space, our gal panicked, kind of put a hole in the craft, and got sucked out into space, ending her short-lived membership on the Justice League task force. Hank Haywood is a name passed down through several generations of heroes. The original Hank was crippled during World War II, and a scientist used cybernetic upgrades to make him extremely powerful. He took the name Commander Steel, originally just Steel, and became a member of the All-Star Squadron. His grandson, Hank Haywood III, also had to be rebuilt after an injury, and he became the second Steel working with Justice League Detroit. Now, you may know of another hero who uses Steel in his name, John Henry Irons, who just goes by Steel. He stepped up as a hero, taking on an advanced exoskeleton and wielding, among many other things, his kinetic hammer. And he did this following the death of Superman, emulating Superman's beliefs and becoming part of the Superman family. Essentially. Basically, I think because Steel was such a popular character and so damn iconic, Commander Steel just kinda fell off despite being part of the Justice League for many years. Kinda sad, but Steel is awesome, so you know, you win some, you lose some. And that brings us to the end of our time together once again. If you enjoyed my Real Links today, could you help us out by giving this video a like? And while you're at it, let me know if you agree or disagree with what I've said today. I've been Alexa, the resident emo girly. See you next time, nerds!